Well, I'm sitting here in my shop beside the stove and it feels pretty comfortable here. But this week, it was a cold week. The forecast was telling us that we had maybe 25 below headed our way. I have a commenter friend up in Canada who was emailing that they were headed for 35 below in the Celsius range, which works out to 31 below down here in the Fahrenheit range. So he gave us a forewarning that it was coming. The forecasters were telling it was coming, and sure enough, it came. Well, through the avenue of this YouTube channel, you all are getting to know a little bit more of what my life is all about. And it goes beyond what I do here in the carriage shop. You know, we're in the middle of restoring this mud wagon, but there's also other things that you're aware of that I'm involved in. I do have some rental property that I'm responsible for, and got some calves out on a little piece of ground and trying to keep them fed and watered through the winter time. So I'm kind of like a clown, maybe juggling maybe more things than I should, I don't know. Well, with this cold weather that was coming, of course, that's when some things can go south, so to speak. I had two furnaces that quit functioning this week. So one in a commercial business and then one in one of my rental apartments. So I had some dealings with some HVAC people trying to figure this one out. Well, the one in the apartment went pretty smoothly. It was just a gas valve that was bad. But one in a commercial location was really giving us fits. So I was back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and through two different companies, and they did finally figure it out last night. And this was right before we were headed for 31 below. Well, Diane really likes to watch the forecasts on her phone, so she's pretty attuned to all this. And she was aware that the record on December 21st, December 22nd showed that it was in 1990 at 26 below. Well, the forecast was for 24 below, and my phone said 25, so we were going to be right in that area. Well, I woke up shortly after 5 this morning, and this is the little readout temperature that we have in our house. And outside it was 31 below. Inside we were fortunate enough to keep it to 70. Here we have over 100-degree difference between outside and inside. Well, I was concerned about my water tank. You remember through the summer I was fixing on this backhoe and did some trenching, and I had this 3,000 gallon tank built inside this 10 by 10 storage shed, and we all went through the process of how I insulated that, have R50 in the walls, 110 plus in the ceiling, and the whole goal was to keep this water open. Well, I shared a little bit about why I was doing the approach that I did. Well, this building that you can see in the background is a 10 by 10 building, and I've got a 3,000 gallon water tank in that building. Now, I could have gone to a variable cistern. I found one that was about 3,500 gallons, but it was ranging between $10,000 and $12,000 plus all the installation, you know, the excavation and concrete for the base and all that. So I decided to go this direction. I think I can come in at about half that price. So anyway, what I need to do is put insulation around that tank to try to keep the water flowing through the wintertime. You know, we can get 20, 30s below kind of regular. There's times that we touch 40, and I've even been in 50 plus below, but that's not a normal. But you kind of have to plan for that anyway. Well, in my showing all this in the different videos that I have posted, it wasn't so much the goal of showing you how it was done. It was kind of showing you the process of how I was trying to figure out how to do it. And so you all came along through this process. Well, through, you know, the fixing of the backhoe and the trenching, which was, you know, all new to me, how to rebuild this old 3-point backhoe. You know, there's been a number of you that have been kind of concerned about whether this is going to work or not, and I was also. Well, many of you have kind of speculated that I was going to have a 3,000 gallon ice cube, and I was pretty concerned about it myself. So anyway, most of this has been a learning curve straight up for me. Our first cold brought us down to 5 below and everything was working well. And then early part of this week we hit 13 below and everything was working well. Well, I didn't have my heat tape on the pipe from the tank down to my 6-foot buried line yet. So last week, midweek, I had a day that was 32 degrees, so I opened that whole pit up and I put my heat tape on. I had 2 100-watt solar panels already on hand, but I didn't have the wiring to connect to the charge controller, nor did I have a battery large enough to supply power to the heat tape. Well, that came in Monday. So I spent Monday afternoon configuring how to mount the solar panels and to hook up the solar chargers, and I finally got that hooked up Tuesday afternoon. Remember, the cold front is supposed to come through Wednesday, which it did. I'm kind of sneaking it under the wire here a bit. So as we enter into Wednesday night and the temperatures are dropping, I go to bed and it's 18 below and I know it's supposed to hit 25. Well, as I get up a couple times through the night, and we burn wood at home also, and I watch this temperature dropping from 25 to 30 and finally 31 when I get up at 5 o'clock. So needless to say, I'm headed out to our piece of ground where our calves are at with a little bit of apprehension. Am I going to have water or not? Well, I got out there and I had the opportunity to take my cell phone and kind of address some of that, and this is where I was at this morning. Well, I wanted to check in this morning a little bit. We're Thursday morning. We were 31 below this morning. The calves are in the shed here. I got them fed inside the shed so they can get out of the weather. The water tank building is up on the hill behind me. But just want to let you know things are still flowing. We're supposed to warm up here a little bit, and I'll show you a little more detail some of the changes I've made. But so far, calves are doing well. The water is still running, like I say, 31 below. We'll catch up here when I'm a little warmer, and we'll see you on the turnaround. So when I went out to do chores and check the water this morning, I didn't take my camera. I've had it out in the cold before, and the batteries just don't last long, so I was a little apprehensive that way. I did take this with my cell phone, but by the time I got back to town to even show this to my wife Diane, my cell phone even wouldn't function until it warmed back up again. So hopefully, you know, I can take my camera out when it's a little bit warmer and show you some of these other things. So again, all this is to say things still are working well. I have done a number of different changes and additions on it, and I'm going to show you that a little more in detail. Come this weekend, we're supposed to be to the mid-30s, and then through the middle of the week, we're actually supposed to be up possibly into the mid-40s. Well, I am calculating each time I water these calves with 5-gallon buckets, I'm calculating the amount of water that I withdraw from this tank. So right now I am down to about 23 to 2,400 gallons left in this big tank out of 3,000. So I'm going to be hauling water out this week to resupply this tank. I'd like to keep it as full as possible. January and February are notably our coldest months here. So what we have encountered today is pretty much just an introduction to what's to come. But I have a great deal of hope that this is going to work. So far, so good at 31 below. Now this is just an overnight. We have about 3 or 4 days of that 15, 18 to 30 below, but it seems to be maintaining its own. And so I'm pretty optimistic that this is going to work. So I wanted to let all of you who have been inquiring how it's going. So far it's going pretty well. I'm optimistic that this is going to work. You know, yet the The final proof is in the pudding, and we haven't gone through January, February yet. But I'm more confident now than I was when I started, when I knew nothing. And now maybe I know just a little bit. It's kind of fun figuring it out, something I've never done before. So I do appreciate you following along, and this was just kind of let you know things are going well. I think we're going to make it. Thanks for following along. Thanks for watching.